Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back. I'm your friend Insect. Today I'm going to do a test for myself. I just want to say if I can pass the Chinese version of graduate student entrance exam or interest exam. So basically, this is a test about the English. If you want to, get a PhD or something like that in China. Anyway, let's just get started for doing this. The section 1, use of English. Directions. Read the following text. Choose the best words for each numbered blank and mark A, B, D on the answer sheet. It probably would be good if I use a mouse so that everyone could say the reading process. In 1924, American National Research Council sent two engineers to supervise a series of experiments at a telephone parts factory called the Hawthorne plant near Chicago. It hoped they would know how ship floats lighting workers' productivity. Yeah, I must say this sentence is quite hard. All I have known is that some official groups has sent two engineers to take a look at some experiments on this factory. This is a factory, and this is the name of the factory called Haron whatever. It hoped they would know how ship floor lighting workers' productivity. So for this case, let's say it probably would be affected. So it hoped they would know how this is a event would affect the workers. So this one must be the effect. So I'll choose answer A. Instead, the studies ended up giving their name to whatever. I think the second blank should be up. So I choose B. I'll choose B. The extremely influential idea that the very what of being experimented upon changed subject's behavior. Let's take a look at the choices that we have. Choose, sign, act, prove. I have no idea about that. Let's take a look at the sentence again. The extremely influential idea that the very of being experimented upon changed subject behavior. I still couldn't understand that. Let's read the sentence along with the previous one. Instead, the studies ended up giving their name to the Hawthorne effect, the extremely influential idea that the very of being experimented upon changed subject's behavior. I think this is a choose. So I'll choose the A, the option A. The idea arose because of the word behavior of the woman in the plants. I have no idea about that blank, so let's read along. According to what of the experiments, the hourly output rose when lighting was increased, but also when it was dimmed. Let's have a look at the 5, the blank 5. According to the I think I choose D, assessments. Although I have no idea about that sentence. So I choose D here. The hourly output rose when lighting was increased, but also when it was dumped. It did not what was done in the experiments. It doesn't conclude. I think I choose A. It did not conclude what was done in the experiment. Something was changed. Productivity rose. In case that, I think I should say, on what that they were being experimented upon seemed to be what to alter workers' behavior itself. On expectation, I choose B. That they were being experimented upon seemed to be enough, I choose C, to alter the workers' behavior by itself. I choose D. After several decades, the same data were what to econometric analysis were conveyed. I choose D. The Harvard experiments had another surprise in store. The descriptions on record, no systematic was found that the levels of productivity were related to changes in lighting. That was strange. I couldn't actually find a clue about what kind of word should be put into those blanks. The descriptions, oh shit. I don't know. I think the 20 should be contrary. So I choose A. No systematic evidence. So I choose A. Again, no systematic evidence was found that levels of productivity were related to changes in lighting. It turns out that particular way of conducting the experiments may have led to what interpretations of what happened may lead to, I guess, this is misleading. So I choose the D in here. And the lighting was always changed on a Sunday. It should be, for example, so I choose B. When work started again on Monday, output rose compared with the previous Saturday, and what to raise for the next couple of days. Let's go to the 16. I choose the suddenly. Output suddenly rose compared with the previous Saturday and Sunday. I guess that's a Sunday. So 17. And ceased or continued. I don't know. Let's just choose a B. A comparison with data for weeks when there was no experimentation showed that the output always went up on Mondays. However, let's choose B. Workers to be diligent for the first few days of the week in any case. Before what a plateau. Workers tended, I choose B, to be diligent for the first few days of the week in any case. Before what? Before hitting, I choose D. Before hitting a plateau and then slacking off. This suggests that the alleged Harvard effect is hard to pin down. So as the opinion of for my opinion, I think that this article is just about how people to prove an theory by doing some experiments, and they found it's hard to actually prove it right. It's hard to say that this theory is absolutely right. So this is the main idea about this article. Now I'm going to check out the answers. for this article and see if we got it wrong or not. So I just copy this answer and let's see, I just passed it at the top of this article, and so we can correct ourselves very quickly. So let's do it. The first answer is A. We got it right, and the second answer is B. We also got it right. The third answer is C, but we got an A. That might be a problem, so I'm going to fix it. Before we go on, I just like to choose all those answers that I previously answered and turn it to some other corner. For example, a blue corner. Oh, that's not obvious. Let's change it to green corner. Okay, that'll be nice. Then for the correction, we will use the right corner. Okay, for the answer, the correct answer should be C, but we choose A. Let's correct it. We should say this is a C. Let's have a look at this answer. C. Act. The right answer is act. So let's read this part of the article. It hoped they would learn how shop floor lighting affected workers' productivity. Instead, the studies ended up giving them to the whatever effect, the extremely influential idea that the very act of being experimented upon changed the subject's behavior. Let's read this sentence again. The extremely influential idea that the very act of being experimented upon changed the subject's behavior. So, in other words, this word "very" means different. Means different. So the different way. In other words, if I want to express this sentence, that would be the different ways of doing experiment upon the subjects would change the subject's behaviors itself. Let's go on. The first answer is B, but we didn't answer it. It's B. We do not wanna remember the answer, the options number itself, but instead we want to memorize the correct answer, which is the correct word itself than the option numbers. So for this case, the right answer is B. So let's go to the B. The B is perplexing. I have no idea about that word. Perplexing, completely baffling, very puzzling. A perplexing problem. Okay, a confusing problem. In other words, a confusing problem. For this case, let's read this stuff. Okay, the idea rose because of the perplexing behavior of the woman in the plants. The word plant here may indicate or equals to the factory. Okay, then let's give it a look at the fifth answer. It should be C, but we choose D here, so it should be C. C is accounts. Let's write down here. We could do it better than this. For example, we can get rid of this taxes, then write the correct word, accounts. But that's not a good idea. Let's just do this. Accounts. According to accounts of the experiments, the hourly output rose when the lighting was increased, but also when it was dimmed. In other words, no matter the lighting is increased or the lighting was dimmed, the workers will always increase their productivity. So this experiment turns out to be nothing. It has nothing to do with the lights. Okay, let's go on. The sixth blank. We should choose B. B is matter. It did not matter what was done in the experiment. And look at the 7. We should choose D. The D of 7 is so long as. So it did not matter what was done in the experiment. As long as something was changed, productivity rose. So it has nothing to do with lighting itself. I mean, no matter it's increased or it was dumped, the light itself won't change the productivity, but the change of something, of the environment, would have a big impact on the productivity. Then let's go on with 8. We should choose A here. Let's have a look at the answer A. A is awareness. And awareness that they were being experimented upon seems to be. The line answer is C. We are correct. C is enough. So an awareness that they were being experimented upon seemed to be enough to alter workers' behavior by itself. The 10 is itself. Okay. Let's go on. The next paragraph. The 11th. We should choose C, but we get D. Let's have a look at the 11. C is subjected. After several decades, the same data were subjected to econometric analysis. This is the meaning of subjected. Bring a person or country under someone's control or something like that. So after several decades, the same data were subjected to econometric analysis. So maybe some economic experts start to study this subject again with the same data. Probably, I don't know. The Harran experiments had another surprise in store. We should choose A. A is correct. Contrary to the descriptions on record, no systematic. Okay, we are still right. Evidence. Okay. No systematic evidence was found that the levels of productivity were related to changes in lighting. Until now, we got two paragraphs. The first paragraph says that the lights changing would have a big effect on the productivity of our factory workers. But on the second paragraph, it says that there has no systematic evidence was found that levels of productivity were related to the changes in lighting. So the two paragraphs, they are saying something totally different. Okay, let's read on. Let's go to the third paragraph. The 14 should be D, so we are correct. Let's have a look at the D. The D is misleading, okay? And the 15 should be B. B is, for example. Okay, let's read this short sentence. It turns out that the particular way of conducting the experiments may have led to misleading interpretations of what happened. For example, lighting was always changed on a Sunday. When work started again on Monday, output, we should choose A here, duly. I don't know these words before. Duly. In accordance with what is required or appropriate, following proper producer or arrangement. A document duly signed and authorizaed by the inspector. Okay, duly. In other words, you could probably say it as properly. The output properly rose compared with the previous Sunday, or the output duly rose, maybe smallly rose, something like that. Has a small change on the rose procedure. Then let's go on with the 17. 17 should be D, but I choose the B there. Let's have a look at the D. Continued. When work started again on Monday, output duly rose compared with the previous Saturday and continued to raise for the next couple of days. In other words, the lights changing on the Sunday has no effect on the productivity. Let's have a look at the 18. The 18 should be say, but we choose to be here. 18 should be say. Oh, this is a mistake. I choose however here, but maybe just wrong typing there. Should say however. However, a comparison with data for weeks when there was no experimentation showed that output always went up on Mondays. The 19 should be B, so we are correct. The 21 should be D. We are still correct. So the worker tended to be effective. Workers tended to be diligent for the first few days of the week in any case before hitting a plateau and then slacking off. This suggests that the aligned whatever effect is hard to pin down, is hard to prove to be true. I may have to have a look at this word and I want to read it correctly. Horizon, okay. Horizon effect is hard to pin down. Actually, you shouldn't remember this effect because this effect is actually haven't been proved to be true. So it's just a word. And now let's read along this article for a little bit to have a global understanding on this article. This is learning, not test. I start to realize because let's say how many wrong answers that I made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if the whole exam got 100 scores, then I just got 50 or half of that scores. I got 50. Not so bad, but also not that good. So I still have to work on the learning of English to be able to pass this exam. Anyway, let's start the reading. In 1924, American's National Research Council sent 2 engineers to supervise a series of experiments at a telephone parts factory called the Horizon plant near Zizaco. It hoped that they would learn how shape floor lighting affected workers' productivity. Instead, the studies ended up giving their name to the horizon effect, the extremely influential idea that the very act of being let's read this again. The extremely influential idea that the very act of being experimented upon changed the subject's behavior itself. The idea arose because of the perplexing behavior or the confusing behavior of a woman in the factory or plant. According to accounts of the experiments, the early output arose when lighting was increased, but also when it was dimmed. It did not matter what was done in the experiment. As long as something was changed, productivity rose. And awareness that they were being experimented upon seemed to be enough to alter workers' behavior by itself. After several decades, the same data were subjected to econometric analysis. The horizon experiments had another surprise in store. Contrary to the descriptions on record, no systematic evidence was found that the levels of productivity were related to changes in lighting. It turns out that the I guess I'll just do a search about the word. Peculiar, okay? Peculiar, strange or odd, unusual. Peculiar, okay? Peculiar. I just remembered a new word. It turns out that the peculiar way of conducting the experiments may have led to misleading interpretations of what happened. For example, lighting was always changed on a Sunday. When work started again on Monday, output duly rose compared with in the previous Saturday and continued to rise for the next couple of days. However, a comparison with data for weeks when there was no experimentation showed that the output always went up on Mondays. Workers tended to be diligent for the first few days of the week in any case before hitting a plateau and then slacking off. This suggests that the aligned horizon effect is hard to pin down. So at the end of this article, the last parameter, it is said that let's say for this sentence, it says that for 1 week, it tends to like the light changing would affect the workers, but for a long time, if you collect the data for weeks, you would say that it has nothing to do with that. So, to be honest, the article itself has no knowledge was included. I cannot say anything useful inside of this article. The only use of this article might be to test if you have a strong understanding on the English language itself. I guess that's the only reason why this article would appear in this exam. Okay, this is today's English learning. I'll see you in the next one. I will definitely make another video because this is too exciting for me. Finally, I start to realize that I I'm not good enough at the English. I need to improve it more and more. So that's it. I will see you in the next video. Bye.